Hey friends, I am back to finish reading Jamaica's Blue Marker for the day today. But before we jump into that, we need to remind our brains about our learning intention and success criteria in reading right now. So what are we trying to learn? We will practice the characteristics of good readers by exploring different genres. Can you name the 3 different genres that we're talking about right now? If you said fiction, kiss your brain. If you said nonfiction, give me a thumbs up. And if you said poetry, then you're just extra smart today because we haven't even really touched on poetry yet. But those are our different genres. And right now we're working specifically on fiction because our success criteria says I can understand the difference between fiction, nonfiction, and poetry. It also says that we are going to have those characteristics of good readers by listening carefully, learning new words, making connections to our lives, and sharing our ideas and feelings. So I've been trying to model that for you as I read about making some connections and sharing my ideas and feelings because that's something that a good reader does, even if they're just doing it up in their brain while they're reading to self. So hopefully you've been doing that with your Raz Kids books or your Epic books, however you've been deciding to practice your reading. Maybe you're thinking about fiction and nonfiction. We're going to throw some poetry into morning meeting soon to get that rolling. But I'm excited today to finish Jamaica's Blue Marker. So we talked yesterday about how this was realistic fiction. Take a minute to think about why that is. Why can we say this is realistic fiction? If you said that this is a made-up story, that's part of it. If you said that it seems kind of real because it has people doing real things that could actually happen, that's the other part of it. If you talked about characters, setting, problem, or solution, then you've just blown us all away and you should move on to 2nd grade. Because that's what we're looking for in Jamaica's Blue Marker. That's how we know something is fiction. It's made up. It might be realistic or fantasy, but if we can find characters in a setting with a problem and a solution, it's definitely going to be a fiction story. So on my screen here, I have the activity that you're going to do on Seesaw, where there's a place for characters, setting, problem, and solution. So you're going to need to understand what those words mean in order to fill out this activity. Do you know what characters are? Take a look at our front cover because I can see characters on the front cover. We'll come back to that later. Do you know what a setting is? Again, the front cover might help you figure out. Look at where they are. So who are the characters and where is the setting? Okay. Now I feel like when we finished yesterday, we had come across the problem. And remember that was that like sad face that we drew or like a rainstorm cloud. Something that makes us or the characters feel frustrated or upset or something they feel like they need to do to keep the story going. So can you think about something that might have gone wrong so far in Jamaica's Blue Marker? Awesome. Because if we can identify the problem, that means that we're ready to keep reading and figure out the solution. So we're going to come back to this. I just wanted you to get a sneak peek. But let's finish our story. So, in Jamaica's Blue Marker, our friend Jamaica was drawing a beautiful fall picture. She was really thinking hard about what Miss Worth asked her to do. And then Miss Worth came along and asked her to share her markers with Russell because Russell didn't have any. And so I know that's something that good family members in a school community do is they share things even when they don't want to. So Jamaica said okay, even though, she didn't feel like sharing. And she tried to help our friend Russell by telling him, hey, you're supposed to draw a fall picture. Russell didn't like her help. So he scribbled all over her picture. And our friend Jamaica asked him to stop, which was definitely the right thing to do. And then she went and asked for Miss Worth's help, which is also something that's a good idea to do. And Miss Worth put our friend Russell in timeout, and he had to work on spelling instead of working on art, and he's not allowed to borrow the markers anymore. So Jamaica goes home and tells her dad about what Russell did, okay? And her dad feels bad, and it says, Russell can't use my markers again. I shared with him because he didn't have any. He never has what he's supposed to, but that's no reason to be mean. No, her father said, Russell shouldn't have messed up your picture. But this is where we left off. Okay, I'm going to reread this because I feel like it's really important. The next time they had art, Jamaica was glad Russell didn't sit at her table. Then he couldn't bother her, and she didn't have to share her markers with him either. But at recess, Russell threw sand at her and chased 2 second-grade girls, so he had to go to the office. Before he came back, Miss Worth said, I would like to tell you something. Can you keep a secret? Yes, Jamaica shouted with her classmates. We are going to have a going-away party for Russell on Friday. His father has a new job in another town. They will be moving over the weekend, and I thought you might like to make cards to say goodbye. Then Russell will have something to remember us by. So we talked a little bit about how that might feel to find out that somebody's moving away, right? If it's one of your close friends, you might feel really sad or upset. But even if it's somebody that you don't really get along a whole lot with, you still might feel a bit disappointed because they're leaving, and you know that that's, a little bit sad. So here we can see Jamaica, and her friends are making cards. To me, she looks a little bit unsure. Let's find out. Miss Worth passed out paper. Then she showed everyone how to fold the paper into a card. Jamaica didn't want to make a card for Russell. She was glad he was moving. Then he wouldn't bother her anymore. She put the paper in her desk. So if it was me and I was Jamaica, I would probably feel the same way, because if someone was bothering me over and over again and it happened more than one time, I would have a hard time, trying to do something nice for them. At supper, Jamaica said, I like living here. I like my house and my room and the tree in our front yard. I like my school, too. I'm glad you do, her mother said. I wouldn't like to move. Who said anything about moving? Aussie asked. Oh, well, Russell is moving, Jamaica said. Lucky you. Then he won't mess up your pictures anymore, Aussie said. I wonder how Russell feels about moving, Dad said. He might be upset. Has he talked about it? Russell doesn't say anything. He just gets in trouble, Jamaica said. So let's stop and think about what Dad brought up there. Here's Jamaica over and over again saying, oh, I like this about my house. I would not want to move. But she didn't stop to think about how that might make Russell feel. She knows how she's feeling. She is frustrated with Russell for scribbling on her pictures, and she knows that she wouldn't like to move. But now Dad made a really good point. What if Russell doesn't want to move? What if Russell is feeling upset, just like you might feel upset if someone told you that you were moving? It's really important to think about other people's feelings and how they could be different from our own. Russell didn't come to the classroom on Friday morning. He was with his mother in the office. Jamaica looked at his empty desk. Next week, Russell would be gone. He wouldn't be at this desk ever again. She decided to make a card for Russell. She got out the blank card and her markers too. So I think that maybe she's kind of realized that Russell might have drawn on her picture out of frustration and he made a mistake. And we have to be able to forgive people for making mistakes. And Russell's not going to be there anymore. And so she might actually end up missing him. And it's important to make other people feel good because that makes us feel good. So maybe making this card for Russell will help her feel a little bit better about what happened. But just then, Miss Worth asked, "Who are my helpers this week?" And Jamaica had to raise her hand. "Jamaica, could you collect the cards and put them in Russell's desk?" "Brianna and Thomas, I'd like for you to clear the activity table so we can get out the plates and cups." Uh-oh, so Jamaica didn't have time to finish her card. She just decided she was going to make it then, and now she's got to collect all of them. Jamaica went from desk to desk to pick up the cards, and she put the whole stack in Russell's desk. As she closed his desk, Russell came in with his mother. The party started, and they played games for a while and ate cake. Russell opened his desk and took out all the cards. "Look, Mom, everybody made a card for me." That would make me feel really good, right? If everybody made a card for me, think about how you would feel. Not everybody, Jamaica thought, and she took the blue marker out of her marker bag. Then she ran up to Russell. "This is for you, Russell." She handed him the marker. "You can use it at your new school." What a sweet idea. "But you might need it," he said. "You like to draw. You draw the best pictures in the class. What if you have to color the sky?" "Someone will share with me." Listen to all those nice things that Russell said. So really, on the inside, he liked Jamaica, and he had a lot of respect for the things that she was doing, but he was feeling so upset and so frustrated. Even though he wasn't saying those things, it came out in his actions. So we really had to think about how Russell was feeling. Even though we saw his anger, we weren't really thinking about what might cause that. And Jamaica was kind enough to share her blue marker with him. "Thanks," he said. "You're lucky. You get to stay here." Now Jamaica knew how Russell felt about her moving, or about his moving. "I wish you didn't have to move," she said. When Jamaica waved goodbye to Russell, she noticed that his mother was carrying his goodbye cards. Russell held up the blue marker and waved it at her as if he had won a prize. "Goodbye, Russell. I'll miss you," Jamaica said. And she meant it. The end. And you can see which marker is missing from Jamaica's marker bag. So I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope it made you think a little bit about times that you felt angry or frustrated, or times when people have made you feel upset by doing something, and how we can use other people's feelings and our own feelings to kind of think about problems in our world. So that was Jamaica's blue marker. And let's check back in with these different things that we find in fiction stories. I'm going to give 2 of them to you right now, and I'm going to ask you to fill in the other 2 as your seesaw activity. All right? So, first question says, who are the characters? And I feel like that who word is a clue that you're thinking about people or things that are acting out the story. So I'm going to leave that one for you because I feel like that's pretty easy. You could fill in all the characters from Jamaica's blue marker. You can draw them, you can use the typing tool, whatever works best for you. Okay? Where is the setting? I'm going to go ahead and fill this one in. School and home. So most of the story does happen at school, but there are some really key parts that happen at home that I don't want to forget. There was the part where she showed her dad her picture, and there was also the part where they had that dinner table conversation about Russell. So I feel like home is just as important in this story as school. What is the problem? Well, Russell scribbles on Jamaica's paper. I feel like that's the big thing that kind of goes wrong in this story that causes all of the other things that end up happening. You could have also said, though, that Russell is moving, because Russell moving is kind of what caused him to scribble on the paper, we could consider that the other part of the problem in the story. The only thing is, Russell moving, I don't really know if it has a solution, because that's the last part that you need to fill in. He ends up moving, and that's that, right? That's the way the story ends. But if Russell scribbles on Jamaica's paper, you can think about some other things that ended up happening in the story that kind of go along with Russell ending up scribbling on her paper. What did Jamaica do to end up solving that problem? Because there were a couple different things in the story. You only have to pick one to put down here. Again, you could draw it, you could type it, whatever makes the most sense to you. All right? But we're going to spend more time on fiction. We have a whole unit on fiction where we'll really dig deeper into the different kinds of fiction and all of these elements. This is kind of just our launch kit with an introduction to these things. So you don't have to be a master at these yet, but we want to be able to tell the difference between fiction and nonfiction and poetry. You guys did an awesome job. I love you. I'll see you later.